Lesson 131. Interest. Documents, shares, seatbelt. When we buy an interest in a business, what exactly do we call the documents we buy?
When we buy an interest in a business, the documents we buy we call shares.
Is it in your own interest to wear a seatbelt in a car?
Yes, it's in your own interest to wear a seatbelt in a car.
Verbs, nouns and adjectives ending in Y. Tidiness. When a verb ends in Y with a consonant in front of it, we change the Y into I when adding es or ed. For example, carry, carries, carried. What happens when we add es or ed to a verb ending in Y?
When we add es or ed to a verb ending in y, we change the y into I.
Give me an example, please.
Study, studies, studied. Hurry, hurries, hurried.
Nouns and adjectives usually behave in a similar way to verbs before a suffix is added. For example, tidy, tidier, tidily, tidiness. How do nouns and adjectives that end in Y preceded by a consonant behave?
Nouns and adjectives that end in y preceded by a consonant behave in a similar way to verbs.
Give me an example, please.
Pity, pitiful, pitiless.
Just, preferably. Can you remember what you did just as you came into the room? What must a driver do when the gap between two other cars is only just wide enough to allow him to pass?
When a gap between two other cars is only just wide enough to allow a driver to pass, he must drive very slowly and preferably have someone standing in front of his car to wave him to the left or to the right.
Largely, quality, clever. Do you think that success in life, like making a fortune, is largely a matter of luck, or do you think certain qualities are required which are more important than luck? In other words, do you think that rich, successful people are cleverer than poor and unsuccessful people, or just luckier? May as well, as. We may go. We may as well go. Do you think that people who are in prison for life often think that they may as well be dead as in prison? What's the difference between these two sentences? We may go to the cinema this evening, and we may as well go to the cinema this evening.
The difference is that the first sentence expresses a possibility, whilst the second one is saying that, as we do not know what else to do this evening, we may as well go to the cinema. In other words, going to the cinema would be better than doing nothing.
On account of. Bomb, explosion, tip, to take into account, on my own account. If it snowed in the middle of summer, would you say that it was on account of past atomic bombs and nuclear explosions having disturbed the upper atmosphere? When considering the price of a meal in a restaurant, do you take into account such things as the service charge and the waiter's tip, etc.? Are you studying English on your own account or because you are forced to? What part of my tongue is this, and what part of my finger is this?
That's the tip of your tongue and the tip of your finger.
When we are trying to think of a word or a name that we know well but doesn't come to us immediately, we say it's on the tip of our tongue. What do we say when we are trying to think of a word or a name that we know well but doesn't come to us immediately? Not, nor. If you arrived home at midnight dying of thirst and found that, for some reason, there was not a single drop of water in the house nor a bottle of drink, what did you do? Delicate. How should delicate things be handled?
Delicate things should be handled with great care, i.e., delicately.
Observe. Do people behave differently than they normally do when they think they're not being observed?
Yes, people behave differently than they normally do when they think they're not being observed.
Why do you think this is?
I think this is because when we are in company with other people, We have to behave as we are expected to behave, out of consideration for them. But when we are alone, we can behave as we wish.
Rival. Why is it that in almost everything one does, one nearly always has a rival?
I think the reason that one nearly always has a rival in almost everything one does is that when something is worth doing and pays well, there's nearly always more than just one person wanting or trying to do it.
Preserve. How do we preserve fruit?
We preserve fruit by putting it in bottles or tins.
Paw. What's a paw?
A paw is the foot of an animal which has nails, like that of a cat, a dog, a lion, etc.
Idiom 34. Lucky break equals a piece of good luck, usually following a period of little or no success. For example, for many weeks I was without work and without money. Then I had a lucky break. A man offered me a very good job on a ship. Hitchhike. What does the idiom lucky break mean?
The idiom lucky break means a piece of good luck, usually following a period of little or no success.
Give me an example, please.
We had to hitchhike, and for hours no one stopped for us. Then we had a lucky break. Someone stopped for us, and we covered 400 miles in one day.
Seller, swimmer.